Welcome to another edition of Florida Newsmakers. I'm Tramel Gomes with our very special guest, Colonel Mike Pendergast, the Executive Director of the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tramel. It's great to be here with you this afternoon, and happy Veterans Day to all of Florida's 1.6 million veterans across the state.
All right, speaking of Veterans Day, I'm trying to get an understanding between the difference between your agency on the state level and what the federal partners provide. Could you explain?
Sure. The Federal Department of Veterans Affairs, of course, has nationwide responsibilities, and they get the lion's share of the budget authority to provide health care, benefits delivery, and also they run all of our federal VA cemeteries across the country. Everything that we do at the Department of Veterans Affairs complements the things that the federal government provides. But we're that first point of entree, along with our colleagues across the county veteran service offices in the state of Florida and some of those other veteran service organizations, to help our veterans get access to those earned services and benefits that they've accrued thanks to their faithful service to our country.
Speaking of access, over the last year, I understand you've been under this big initiative to get those who are not aware of the benefits they're entitled to, those who are newly returning veterans, female and Vietnam-era veterans.
Well, that's a great question. And what we did is we embarked upon a journey to really rebrand our agency and help us communicate better with our audience out there. We've got a community of veterans that range in age from prior to the Second World War, merchant mariners who were serving before the first shots of the Second World War were fired, to young men and women who barely a year ago were graduating from high school, attending their senior prom, and getting shipped off to go to basic training and become soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine, or Coast Guardsmen. And what we've been able to do is take some initiatives and create a smartphone app, create an enhanced website, and be able to actually, for the first time in our agency's history, produce some public service announcements that we can go out and spread throughout our community of veterans here in Florida so that they can become more aware of all those benefits that are out there open to them or their family members or their survivors in the cases of some of those veterans who didn't return home from war.
I know a benefit that you are hoping to get and locked in pretty soon is to offer in-state tuition to all veterans statewide, and this is something you want to see done next session.
Yes, it's our #1 legislative priority for the department this year, and we would really like to see it get done. We worked on it last year, but unfortunately we didn't get it into the Senate and House chambers to be voted upon. But we've got great bipartisan support. In fact, one of the first bills filed in both chambers was the student veterans coming back to the state of Florida using post-9/11 GI Bill benefits to be eligible for in-state tuition. And we think it's got a great chance of passing this year, and we've got a lot of support from the veteran service organizations all throughout the state as well, including our collegiate veterans, of course, who are very much wanting to see that get passed so they can use that benefit.
Governor Rick Scott recently signed a proclamation to hire a Veteran Month, which happens to be now here in November.
Sure is.
Why is it important to hire a veteran? What are the benefits?
Well, the nation has already invested tremendous time and treasure in training our veterans and using them during their time in service. They come back with a great set of skills. They're very disciplined. They're highly motivated. And they can do things at levels that folks that have been in the industry can't keep pace with. And it's because of that they make great employees. And they're willing to work. They're willing to learn new processes and procedures. And they know how to have an impact on the bottom line in the public sector as well as the private sector, of course. Just this past spring, we worked and had the folks from the Dollar General Corporation come down, and in conjunction with employer support for the Guard and Reserve and our Adjutant General from the Florida National Guard, we hosted an event called Paychecks for Patriots, a one-day event where 500 of our veterans in the state of Florida found employment on the spot that very day or within a few days thereafter. Because of the huge success of that, we're looking to do another Paychecks for Patriots event this coming spring with Dollar General Corporation, and we want to expand from the 115 other private sector employers, and our goal is to see if we can get 200 employers to come out and participate in the next Paycheck for Patriots event.
As we wrap up here, most Americans will never serve in the military or armed forces, but we're always looking for ways to give back and say thanks to those who do. What are some ways that people can give back? Is it as simple as just saying thanks?
Well, it's not as simple as that, but you know, thanks goes a long ways. I can remember my first time coming back from being in a combat theater for the Operation Iraqi Freedom War, and running into folks in the Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport. And it was very touching to see the folks really, an outpouring of their hearts and their love for what our troops have done. And taking that to this a step further, welcoming our troops home. If you know a veteran that's out there that's got questions or has a need for information, send them to floridavets.org and get information that's out there. Sharing that information is a very powerful tool, and it certainly goes a long ways towards helping our veterans get reintegrated back into our communities after they separate from service.
Well, Colonel Mike Pendergast, thank you so much for being our guest today, and to our viewers, we'll catch you next time.